Yes, and we're back. We're talking Solar Dynamics, its change of ownership. Now, this is a company which was established in Barbados a while back. We know it would have been started not directly by Mr. Husbands, but he was the one who helped to market and get it to where it is today. And for some reason, we have now decided, Mr. Husbands, that it's time to move on to another venture. Now, before we discuss that transition that took place, just give for our listeners, especially those who might be in the region, a brief synopsis of the company.
Thank you very much, Wendy, and welcome to viewing public. It's a signal honor for George and I to be on the program tonight. A little bit of a background. Back in 1973, with the onset of the oil crisis, Reverend Andrew Hatch figured that one of the things that could be done was to make solar water heaters the standard for heating water in the Caribbean, what he called the appropriate technology of the Caribbean. Earlier, there was a unit that was made using an old oil drum by Professor Tom Lewan, and there were some drawings that Andrew used to make one for his own home and then a couple others for friends. And so the basic technology was to use an old oil drum, some galvanized pipe, and a wooden box, and an aluminium blackened plate.
Simple drum, an oil drum, the simple.
Yes, so that this gives us an idea of the technology over the years, all the changes we made to make what now you see as the modern solar dynamics hot water system. So the transition has been quite tremendous over the years. We've moved from wood to metal, and from say galvanized steel to aluminium, to extrusions, from galvanized to copper, from regular glass to tempered glass, which is one of the things that break symbol, which you referred to earlier. So actually, we've had the opportunity to take an idea and to make it into a viable business venture, and to sustain it for the last, well, it's now 49 years. We've sustained and grown it throughout the Caribbean. Essentially, we have a second plant in St. Lucia, and we export to many of the islands in the Caribbean.
Okay. Now, looking at the sale and how long we've known and associated you with it, when was the actual transition done? When was it inked over onto Mr. Connolly?
Well, actually, on Coronation Day, on the 6th of May, that was the day that George and I signed off on the agreement, the same day of the coronation.
Okay, over to you now, Mr. Connolly. I've known you in several different business fairs, but this is now renewable energy that we're dealing with. Tell me a bit about the acquisition and why you decided this was going to be a best fit for you at this time.
All right, well, first thing, thank you for having us on the program. And let me jump right in. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago that I saw James at a conference, and I had a conversation with him about my ideas for the future of solar dynamics. And I told him then, whenever you're all set, come back and talk to me. As fate would have it, he called me one day and said, now it's time. And that started the whole program. Now, think about it this way. I want anyone to tell me one other technical product that has been developed in the Caribbean that can be sold globally or is being sold globally. Rather, anyone. One technical product built and developed in the Caribbean that's being sold throughout the region or globally. And the only product that I can think of is solar dynamics. The potential that this product has, particularly in an age now where it seems that it's built for this particular period that we're in, where climate change and RE are such buzzwords now, when 50 years ago, or rather 449 years ago, It was just an idea that someone thought would save a little bit on gas. Now, it's not seen as just being able to save on gas, but it's a way of life. It is something that we have to adopt if we want to save this planet. So there's no
Understood.
better time. There's no better time for anyone in business to pivot green and see the opportunities that are available and actually be doing this not just for the profit that comes with it, but be doing it for good. And that's the
And
critical thing.
And now he mentioned that issue of good. I want to come back to you, Mr. Husbands, in terms of what you consider as your achievements in moving this company beyond what would have been Father Hatch's initial idea. What for you are the goalposts that you have hit, and some of the things that you regret not having been able to achieve while at the helm of the company?
Well, I think one of the most important things from my perspective is making Barbados the #1 country in the world, British thermal unit per thousand population. And this is measured by um, Solar Energy Worldwide, which is an institution formed by the World Renewable, the Authority on World Energy. And Barbados is #1. And Barbados is also #3 in the world in the penetration of solar water heaters per thousand population. Well, those are two benchmarks which are literally unbelievable. Those are achievements that for a little boy from St. Martin's and St. Philip, I could not have expected to achieve that. I am so blessed. I'm so happy that we've had good teams over the years to help us to get to this point. Any country in the world would love to be #1 in BTU per thousand population, and we are seen as world leaders. Um, Interestingly enough, we've had UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, do a satisfaction survey on the hospitality industry using Turtle Beach here and one of the hotels in St. Lucia as benchmarks for the use of solar water heating in hotels. And these two hotels scored us at 95 to 100% satisfaction and 45% return on investment annually. Indeed, Mr. Barra, who is the maintenance manager of Turtle Beach, said he believed that the solar water heaters made more money for Turtle Beach than the guests. So that is one of the kind of signal honors. We also had a survey done by USAID looking at the industry back in 2002, and they were very happy and saw the development of the solar water heating industry as the most significant achievement of renewable energy in the hemisphere. So Barbados has been able to really, through solar dynamics, start an idea, or rather take an idea, improve on that idea, make it a world-class product, and continually improve on the quality of the product. Now that we talk about climate change, we are actually doing work which is specific to climate change, in that we need stronger materials, more robust materials to keep product on roofs. And we've done some extrusions, and these extrusions give us a good opportunity to secure collectors onto roofs during storms and hurricanes. And so we are right at the cutting edge of technology worldwide. All of the things are in the right place. We've done a lot of work, and I want to thank all the people who have worked with me over the years, particularly Ivan Franklin and the teams. Nowadays we have some other young people, Dave and Sheldon, and we have Kian as well. She does a lot of good welding. So we have had good people working with us, and they will tell you I push them. Yes, I push myself as well. So I think that we've been able to do very well. The St. Lucia operation, we've had some challenges and some setbacks, but thank God we are back there, and we have a good team there again. And George and I actually visited the plant a couple of weeks ago, and they're very gung ho to move things along. So we've been blessed. We've been happy. We've had some setbacks, but we've had a lot of success as well. So
Okay. And how do you now, Mr. Connolly, intend to build upon that success? You've already gone and seen the operations. You know that Barbados has over 65,000 solar water heaters installed across the island. There's always the possibility of more houses are being built every day. But what are your immediate plans once well, you've already taken over, but what are some of those plans? Unveil them for us.
Well, one of the first things that we're going to do is, obviously, we're going to focus on the core business. So the core business is solar heaters. And one of the things that James just said is very important. So as we advance the use of the product, you're going to see that he spoke about the extrusions that are used for hurricane protection. So basically, anyone who's had a tank on their house, who's had a solar system on their house for more than 5 years, should contact our office and let's have a look at how we can add those extrusions to offer additional protection in case of hurricanes. That's the first thing. One of the things that you do in the service industry, we're going to go back to it. So we're going back to basics. We're going to focus on making the customer very happy. The new mantra that I have is to delight the customer. And that is going to be the focus in the water heater space. Some of the other things that people don't realize, Solar Dynamics is a Barbadian company. Like Jim just said, we got an operation in St. Lucia. At some stage, we had an operation in Jamaica as well. It's really a Caribbean firm. We export to 15 countries in the region. And the plan is to aggressively get those countries to come up in the BTU index, the same way that Barbados is at the top of that scale, to lift everyone else in the region up to that scale in the water heater space. And because, or the name of the company is Solar Dynamics, as you see on the screen, another thing that we are doing is that we're going to make a pivot again to photovoltaic. So we're going to offer photovoltaic systems to have people on grid or off grid. We're going to add that to the core business. Because of the heat being caused by climate change, and we have El Nino for the next 3 years, we're also going to be offering solar AC units. We're going to be offering those for sale again throughout the 15 territories where we operate. Something that we already do, we offer pool heating systems, and this is solar-based, solar-powered pool heating systems. We're going to expand that business to all the markets rather than just Barbados and St. Lucia where we currently do it. And the other thing that we're going to do is something that I think is very dear to my heart, irrigation. There's a product called an automatic water generator. And what that product does is that it takes the process of condensation to create water every single day. Anything from 10 liters to 5,000 liters a day. Now, this irrigation platform, solar powered again, can reduce a lot of the challenges that we're going to have over the years with irrigating lands for farmers or going into districts who are water deprived. And in those areas, we can put a solar powered unit in the middle of a field or in the middle of a street, and 250 up to 250 individuals per day will have enough water to satisfy their needs. So
I want you to
those
just
areas, you know,
pause on that because I want to discuss this whole issue of water scarcity and getting it to people more readily, etc., especially looking at our farming community, schools, things like that. But we have to take a break here, and when we come back, we'll also be taking your calls, 228-5562, 228-5563. We'll be right back to discuss more with Mr. George Connolly and Mr. James Husbands on solar dynamics. We'll be back in a bit.
thank you.
We're back. And before we left off, Mr. Connolly was telling us all about getting water. Barbados is water scarce, and he was talking about doing it through with our solar energy, etc. So you can continue that point for us, Mr. Connolly.
Thank you. So the automatic water generator is a product that's made in France, and it's an amazing product that takes the condensation process and brings it to a machine. The machine simply makes water from the air, purified through filters and ready to drink immediately, or ready to irrigate land or feed animals or do whatever is required. Right now, we're under a plan by the Water Authority where we're in a drought situation. It's been extended to the 31st of August. But you would have heard a couple of things happening in the world right now. El Nino is usually triggered when water levels, when the warmth in the ocean raises by at least 0.5%. That happened in 2016, where we had some atrocious weather. It caused $46 billion in damage. This year and next year, you're looking at a 2.5% increase in the temperature of the water. So what that does is that we're going to see more extreme droughts, more extreme rainfall. So you get zero to hero. You get either floods or you get droughts. It's going to be scary over the next 3 years. So what do we do to mitigate against that? If energy sources are down, one of the things that you can do is set up automatic water generation plants in areas where people are easily affected in these areas. And these are the things that we want to look at for the future.
Okay, sounds bright to me, and we're going to be making optimum use of that sunshine. I want to come back to you, Mr. Husbands, in terms of making use of that sunshine, because over the years, your technology has changed significantly, and most people tend to wonder, you know, how this box-shaped unit on top of your roof, this panel of glass, and some copper on the inside actually keeps giving us this water. So I'm just wondering if for the layman, you know, you can explain to us how solar dynamics over the years continued to improve on its innovation to give us that warmth that we need coming out of our taps, especially on some of these cold nights.
The system itself works with the three basic laws of physics. We are actually using sun's radiant energy into a collector, and that collector is what we call a flat plate collector. It's not a vacuum tube collector. So you have a flat surface on which you have tubes bonded to a plate, and by conduction, that heat is absorbed and is taken to the water in the tubes, and by convection, that hot water rises up to the storage tank. So as hot water rises, the cold water comes in to take its place. In the same way as hot air rises, cold air comes in to take its place in the normal cycle. So by having the tank slightly higher, slightly elevated, you can have the natural convection flow without the use of any pumps or mechanical or electrical fixtures. But in addition to those things, we have to deal with the whole question of how you control calcium. So the magnesium anode, magnesium being very low in the galvanic series, is a sacrificial anode which then holds the calcium as calcium is withdrawn from the water. And that magnesium anode needs to be changed every few years to protect the inner lining of the tank. It's very important that the water remains healthy. And so glass line storage tanks, the glass lining process literally is using molten glass and some chemicals. We don't do that ourselves, but that is done by our suppliers of the inner tanks. And that is sprayed, then baked to 1300 degrees Celsius, so it's fused onto the tank lining. And that tank lining should not be broken unless it's an emergency. So we don't break the tank lining, because when you break the tank lining, what you do is actually you start to create rust from day one. So we make sure then, and there's a new development we have, where new tanks are being developed with ends. So the ends are like a 6-inch diameter, and we can take these ends off with bolts, take the bolts off to allow you easy cleaning of the tank surface, the inner tank surface. So what
Okay.
we're actually doing, so essentially what we're actually doing is we keep improving on the product and making sure that the temperature is good, make sure the lifespan is great, we make sure that the performance, and of course, we're the first company in the world to guarantee temperature performance on a solar hot water system. The first company and the first country in the world to provide a temperature guarantee to our customers on the solar performance.
Okay.
So basically,
That's it.
in a nutshell, you
Easy
know,
peasy.
easy peasy, you just use the hot water. The main thing is to make sure it's sized right. And of course, on the other side, make sure your plumbing is intact. So you need good plumbing if you're going to, because anytime that you're losing hot water, it means that the system is not going to satisfy your needs. So
Okay.
ensure that your plumbing is intact.
All right. We have a caller on the line. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, go right ahead, sir. Hello. Okay, it seems as though they may have fallen out there. Now, why are you laughing, Mr. Connolly? I'm back at you now on the issue of I'm excited about the water, but I'm even more excited about the idea of the solar AC unit because we know how that pulls on an electricity bill, but
Tell
we
us about it.
all need to stay cool in these
Especially now.
temperatures, especially now. So tell me a bit about that and how you are going to make that product one which is affordable to the average householder, just as the solar units, the water heating units are.
Okay, I mean, this isn't new. This has been around for 25 years or so. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull product directly out of China. And it works very simply. You've got the photovoltaic plates that feed into an inverter that power the air conditioning units. So rather than having photovoltaic units to power your entire home, you have photovoltaic units that power just the air conditioning units. So powering the entire home for a lot of people is phenomenally expensive. Costs as much as a small vehicle. But powering ACs for your home could be very affordable, and even cheaper than a solar water heater. So you can get a two-for, basically. You can add solar water heating and solar AC and do it very reasonably. And we're going to be working with financial partners who will allow those homeowners who need assistance to be able to pay on a higher purchase type platform for products like that.
Now, that is very key in these economic times, that individuals will be able to have the service while still paying on it. And, you know, almost everyone is familiar with the concept of HP, higher purchase. Now, in terms of working with financial institutions and so on, did they readily buy on to these new products, these new renewable energy products that you're looking to introduce to the market?
Of course, I mean, financial companies aren't interested in the product so much as the opportunity. So, I mean, currently we work with Courts, Koiman, etc., Massey Group for the solar water units. We haven't introduced those products, those new products to those clients yet, to those partners that we work with. But what we have done is that we have financial institutions rather than hardware stores who offer credit, or like Courts, who's a superstore, who offer credit. We have financial institutions who are actually going to work with us. I don't want to call those names out yet because I want them to have the opportunity to do that themselves.
Okay.
But certainly the opportunity is there for every consumer across the Caribbean to be able to afford the products that we offer.
We have a caller Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, go right ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I would like to ask a question. I've had a system from 1977.
Oh, wow.
It was I had very good service. Only had to change the tank once. But what I'm asking now is at that time, a very long time ago, and the pipes were run through the ceiling of the house, and I think it's pretty old now. And I've been asking if I can have the pipe removed from the ceiling of the house and put outside.
Okay, she's asking
Well,
about being able to change the manner in which it is run to the house.
I think she needs a plumber. Certainly, it can be done. That's not running pipes inside the house is not something that's currently being done. And I have to say that's almost when I was born, almost. That
But she
unit
did
was
say it was
installed.
1977, so that's a way
Right.
back.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very easy now to have any of the plumbers or technicians in our team move those pipes on the outside. That's an easy fit. I mean, from 1977, I suggest that we test the whole system out to make sure everything is fine.
Okay, so I hope the caller has heard Mr. Connolly say that they'll be testing to make sure it's fine. And since he spoke to the fact that they're looking to build up the customer service levels, I'm sure that you can call tomorrow and be fully sorted. Now, Mr.
From
Husband,
7:30 in the morning.
from 7:30, and they do arrive early. They do. Once you tell them, well, look, yeah, they come and they service promptly. That I can attest to. Now, Mr. Husband, over the years, we have come to know you for one thing mostly, and it is a thing that I believe every primary school child would mimic. Brick, brick, brick. That is part of your legacy with these water heaters.
Yes, I can't go on a job site or in the supermarket or anywhere around and I don't hear somebody say, brick, brick, brick. I hear it several times a day. It's really legendary. It's Jack there, you must know Jack, has been working with me over many years in our advertising space, and we were working on a project, and this came up. So he captured it, and we ran with it.
And we're going to run with it shortly too, so that those who may not be aware, because they might be a little too young to remember that particular commercial, can see just how we knew of Solar Dynamics product quality testimony in the market.
20 years, the end 20 days, and when he come in and say, whip, whip, whip. You see, it's not breaking, look this, you see this tempered glass. I'd like to hear that, whip, whip.
And we all love to hear it. This is where we're going to take a break, and when we come back, you can call us to ask some questions on the People's Business. We're talking Solar Dynamics. Spot on. And we're back with James Husbands and George Connolly talking Solar Dynamics. Now, we were talking about the legacy that you created with that ad, Mr. Husbands. But we all know you're still a young man, so I don't know that retirement is necessarily on the cards for you. And as you say, we Bajans like to know what's going on. So what's on the cards for you?
I would like to certainly help in the transition, and of course, that's my responsibility. Help with the transition, some training, and I do the logistics. I do the purchasing of raw materials. I've been responsible for technical production in terms of product quality, product design. I've been responsible for marketing and advertising. So I have to transfer a lot of work to George and his team. So that will take us a few months. And uh, I have a greenhouse at home that I really want to fully have operational so I can grow more food. So I have a few things that I like to do for sure, personally. And you know, 50 years is a long time. And that I started my business in 1972. So it's past 50 years. I'd like to have a little bit of personal time, of course. My wife is looking forward to it. We need to travel. We love to travel, even though traveling is not as attractive as it used to be. But certainly anything that I can do to help in the transition and make Solar Dynamics what it can be, because remember that we started some of the other things and there's a lot happening. Jamaica is an area that we started to do some work in, the Bahamas, and more recently Panama. Panama actually wants to do a program to mimic what Barbados has done. They're looking to have 1 million square meters of solar thermal in Panama in the next 10 years. So there's a lot of work to be done out there, and I'm hoping that I can assist George and his team a little bit. I don't want to be fully engaged again, of course, but of course, you know, Solar Dynamics has been my middle name, and I would want to see some of the things that I wanted to achieve before, which for various reasons I was unable to achieve. I want to see those come in. I really want to see the company fly. It has wings, and George is putting on some lovely wings on it. So essentially, I'd love to see it fly.
Looking forward to it flying. And since we're talking about flying and entering these new markets, I want to talk to you, Mr. Connolly, about the strategy which you have for entering some of these existing markets, some which may have gone a little dormant, and some which are brand new and you're looking to explore.
The critical thing is to have distributors in each territory. And one of the things that we do right now is that we have quite a fantastic cohort of distributors in all the markets. Obviously, there's tweaking involved. Obviously, there's tweaking involved in every side of that. So we're going to look at new distributors. We're going to look at expanding it, and we're going to look at taking those relationships and growing them. Jamaica is a particular interest because the operation, when it was in Jamaica, was doing very, very well. And understand this, there are only 2 manufacturers of solar products in the entire Caribbean of note. And I mean who have scale. And Solar Dynamics is the biggest of the 2 that has reach across the hemisphere. And one of the things that we plan to do is to take this platform that James has built over the last 49 years and use that flag to fly the product throughout Latin America and Central America, where we're getting a lot of interest.
Okay.
The foreign exchange potential that we have here is tremendous. And one of the things that we plan to do is exploit it, not only in the current space that we're in, as I said, but certainly across the RE space entirely.
Now, if we can just come back home for a little bit, Mr. Connolly, there are a lot of people who get a bit xenophobic about products and services and things which are homegrown. I'm just wondering what your perspective is in terms of maybe how we're going to outfit the rest of Barbados with Solar Dynamics heaters. What's your target at home in terms of growing the local base?
Well, Barbados, is, as James would have said earlier, is by far the largest market in the Caribbean. And in terms of number of installs per day, it is still the largest market in the Caribbean. That hasn't changed. And we intend to drive that. One of the things that we plan to do, because of economic hardship as it happens right now, is that we plan to offer two programs in the future. One, we're going to do a flat out lease where you can pay a small increment every single month to have a water heater on your home. And then number two, we're going to extend the partners that currently offer hire purchase programs on the units, so that Barbadians can definitely, from the chattel house at the bottom of the gap to the mansion in the suburbs, all of them can have solar water heating from Solar Dynamics on them through very affordable practices. So that's the only problem that we have, making the product affordable for the man in the street. And that's one of the things that we're working on now.
All right, we have a caller on the line. Good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Yes,
I have
go
a
ahead.
question. If you already have AC installed, you have already got AC, how do you transfer to the photovoltaic AC?
Is that possible,
So-
Mr. Connolly?
For some units it is. It's all up to the inverter. So basically, as long as you can have the units connected to a suitable inverter, it could be
That's
possible.
suitable.
Inverter. So the inverter is a device that
Okay.
takes the energy from the photovoltaic plate and converts it into an AC energy or a DC that you can use on your units.
Okay.
I
You
hope that
understand what I
answers your
just-
question.
How costly is that? Costly? How costly is it?
Well, we're not going to discuss price
Okay.
on the show,
Okay.
but
Sorry.
it's very affordable.
Okay.
But it's very affordable. You give us a call in
It's
the office
affordable.
tomorrow
Thank
and we
you.
can talk
That-
it through.
that's
It's
my
very
question.
affordable.
You know, there are some who might argue, Mr. Connolly, that affordability is relative.
It is. I'm not going to argue that point.
Okay.
So, but what we will do is, for those who find affordable unaffordable, we'll work out a way to make it affordable.
To have them there, yes. And I'm actually quite happy to hear about the fact that you're looking to get more businesses on board to be able to give everybody a chance to be able to, you know, get something they've been hoping for, they think may have been beyond their reach. But I also believe that James came up with a plan as well in terms of helping others, and there's an instance whereby depending on your sizing, because sometimes that's what drives the costs too high, when you maybe perhaps order a unit that might be bigger than what you actually need to supply you.
One of the critical things is that when we switch to solar water heating, we use more hot water than if we were using electricity. Imagine the average household where the mother says to the children, come out of the shower quickly, do not stay in there long because I just got the electricity bill and electricity gone up again. Well, once that is no longer the case, once you go to solar water heating, then she's able to say, you can stay in there as long as you like. And it becomes more of a babysitter now. And therefore you have to size the system appropriately to ensure that everyone in the family will have a shower in the evening and the following morning. So we cannot undersize a system and get customer satisfaction. That is, if you do that, the customer is going to be unhappy because they'll only have enough hot water for the evening. The following morning, it would be inadequate. So sizing is very important, and we maintain that it is one of the benchmarks that we've established. I know that when we worked in Jamaica, that was one of the biggest challenges that stymied the development of the industry in Jamaica, where most systems were undersized. And we spent a considerable amount of time talking to industry partners, as well as those who were distributors to understand the sizing requirements for success.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And we're back with that word, success, Mr. Connolly. You spoke to Latin America and South America, but we in Barbados have been looking to open up our gateways to the motherland. How gun-ho are you about perhaps taking the solar technology back to Africa, especially given that we now have a bank which is looking to help entrepreneurs, etc., trade with the land?
Well, I am very gun-ho. I think in 2020, I actually set a company up in Ghana. And I am in constant contact with the Barbados representative in Ghana. And one of the things that we were talking about recently are 3 hotels that are very interested in actually making a transition to solar. So it is something that's keen. One of the things that we're very keen about, one of the things that we need to do is that we need to find the right partner on the ground. And that is the thing that will probably take the most time. But once we have the right partner or partners on the ground, then we will very much be looking at the African market, Ghana as home base, and then expanding across West Africa first, and then East Africa afterwards. But it's very much in play.
All right, we have a caller on the line, so we can take this question before we go to break. Good evening.
Yeah, hi. Good evening to the host and good evening to your guest. Just like to ask one question, please. I heard Mr. Connolly mention that he's looking to expand the number of hire purchase agents that the company is working with. I recall years ago someone informed me that when they were purchasing their unit, rather than use the hire purchase route, they actually got a loan from the credit union, repaid the credit union, and it turned out to be so more economical. So what I'm wondering is if Mr. Connolly has any plans in stream for special arrangements with the credit unions. Thank you.
Okay. Do you think you can answer in 30 seconds?
Short answer to that question is yes. I'm not going to say which one, but we've already had discussions with a credit union.
Okay, so it seems as though Solar Dynamics is taking care of Barbadians on the home front and also looking to take technology which we have developed to the world. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will look to have maybe 1 or 2 more calls and then some parting shots from our guests. And we're back with the People's Business. We are talking Solar Dynamics, and we last spoke about individuals being able to access these units in terms of getting the necessary credit, whether it be hire purchase or loans through the commercial entities which we have. And we're very happy to learn that the new man at the helm is actually trying to seek out customer satisfaction before they get to him in that space. What will your title be? Are you going as managing director, general manager, director? What's your title going to be, Mr. Connolly?
Title is going to be CEO.
Okay, then. So we have a chief executive officer now of Solar Dynamics. I want to backtrack a bit again to the water issue. And what I want to find out, because I know some of these systems have an overflow type mechanism. What I want to find out is if there's any way to be able to collect that overflow and convert it into that collection that is going to be done from the atmosphere, what have you. Is there any way to sync the systems?
That one.
When you say
The overflow. Sorry. The overflow that you speak of.
No, either one can answer. I just want to know if we can pair the technology. So, for example, my tank overflowed, you know, is there any way that I can find a way to have that water work with any other system that I might purchase from you all that you're planning to have, like say the water collector?
If the tank overflows, it's because the pressure relief valve has opened. The pressure relief valve is a safety device on the tank. And if it is overflowing, that is a requirement for service. In other words, it is not intended that would leak all the time. Otherwise, one, you'll be wasting water, and two, it will reduce the temperature in the tank. The pressure relief valve is intended to be just to tell you that there's a problem, and so it's not intended that that water is to be caught to be used anywhere. It's really intended for you to give you a signal that you need to call Solar Dynamics to get that water leak solved as quickly as possible.
A fail-safe mechanism that's built in. Now, Mr. Husbands, you have been at the helm of the organization for quite some time, just about as long as I've been around. And in that time, you know, would have had your challenges. And we see and recognize you as one of Barbados's black businessmen who has done well and who led by example. However, there are tests which come for all of us. What was your biggest test along the way, and how did you overcome?
Wow. There have been perpetual tests, Wendy. I can't remember a time that we have not had tests. I guess the most recent test was when we lost 91% of our assets in St. Lucia. And we had to rebuild the company from the embers in St. Lucia back to some degree of health. That was one of the tests we've had that I would say we succeeded in spite of all the challenges. We also had tests. I guess this is a rebuilding process, and every time we've had a test, we've come through it with some degree of change, invariably an improvement in the product, a new offer. But at every time we've had tests, we've looked at how we could do better, how we could fix whatever the problem is, whether it's a technical problem, a consumer problem, a staffing problem, an external problem. You know, you are in an economic space where there are rivals, competitors, other people who are not in this space, but nevertheless they impact on you. So I would say that persistence, diligence, strong faith, belief that God will help you see it through, and a band of people around you who will support you during those times. People like Ivan Franklin when he was there, and my wife, she's been a very strong support over the last nearly 20 years. So you need to have a group of persons around you who believe in what you're doing, who help you through, and when the chips are down, still help you to see the brighter side. But strong faith does help. And
Okay.
this company has been particularly favored by God in terms of keeping it going. We've had immense challenges, believe you me. So
Okay.
we're thankful.
And that's what we have to do all the time, give thanks. Now we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will have some parting shots in terms of where both of you want the company to go, not just for the company itself and its employees, but also in terms of the consumer end. We'll be right back. Okay, briefly in a minute or less, Mr. Connolly, your future aspirations.
There are a couple of things that I need to say. First thing, if you look at Solar Dynamics and what James Husbands and co have been able to do for the industry, how they've developed it over the years, and what it means as a piece of Barbadian technical manufacturing, there is no good reason why James shouldn't be Sir James Husbands from where I sit. And the company is around now for 50 years, and look what it's done. What we plan to do is that we plan to build on the legacy using new technologies that are here today, and then add new product to that. So continue to build out the technology that we've made so successful, and then add new lines so that we become a real RE business. And that's how we want the public to see us in the future. So over the next 10 years, Solar Dynamics will not be known just only as a solar water heating company, but as a solar product company with a slew of products available to the whole CARICOM community, regional, etc., and then into Central America, Africa eventually, where we are a renewable energy business.
Awesome. And you, Mr. Husbands, you heard Mr. Connolly's aspiration for you. I second that. Well, no longer sir, but most honorable. What's your aspiration?
I have been truly humbled by all of the honors I've had, and I really have no further aspirations. Thank you very much, George, but I have no aspirations in that regard. My parting shot would be, Wendy, by George, the future is bright.
I like it. I like it. By George, the future is bright. So he has handed you the mantle. He is there willing to assist you every step of the way as need be. And I am sure after myself and our viewers have heard of some of your plans, we wish you both nothing but the best as you move forward with Solar Dynamics and take it way beyond Barbados's borders and make for us a leader in renewable energy, and knowing that our Prime Minister has already raised the bar in terms of where we need to be in fighting the good fight of climate change. It's great to know that we have a local company that is also looking to do that as well. I want to thank you both for joining me this evening, both Mr. James Husbands and Mr. George Connolly, from former owner to new owner, CEO. I want to congratulate you, Mr. Connolly, on that achievement. I've As I said, we've known each other in all spheres of business before, so it will only get brighter for you. Mr. Husbands, I wish you well as you go not into retirement, but into ensuring that you do a little bit every day just to keep you working and going. As they say, if you don't work out, you rust out. So I've always known you as a hardworking man. And again, I want to thank you both for joining us. I want to thank our viewers this evening and our callers for being a part of the program. Best of luck to both of you. This has been The People's Business. I'm Wendy Burke.